Lepas Pak, lepas. Boleh. Garang. Baik, mau garang ini. Bisa.
Mikir ini jadi.
Kuno garang.
Kanila ada.
Lepas Pak.
Joseph, please make Lucy Nyakeo a co-host, or just ensure she can share her screen.
Sorry, Jane, I didn't get you clearly.
I said you put Lucy Nyakeo, she's our trainer for today, as a host or someone who can be able to share her screen.
She can share her screen now.
Okay, so. Hi, guys. Hi, Byron.
Hi, too.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. Today I'm introducing our sign language interpreter, Byron. You can tell us your name. Speak, Byron, for a minute. Tell them your name.
Hello, guys. My name is Byron Abuli, and I work as a sign language interpreter. It's a pleasure working with you guys. Thank you.
So I hope all of us towards the end of this will have picked some bits of sign language from Byron. We will ensure every beginning of the class, you teach us something, at least just saying good evening or good morning or clapping, so that at least you have some basics. That's a deal, class, eh?
Yes.
Okay, so today we are having an amazing trainer. Her name is Lucy. I will be letting her in a minute. Lucy, if you can hear me. Oh, I see she's there. Lucy, if you can hear me, please greet the class and we will start in the next 3 minutes. Normally we start at 6 on the dot. Let's give people another 3 minutes to join. It's 2 minutes past the hour. And we have 80.
Okay. Hi, Jane. How are you? Jane, if you can hear me, hi.
Yes, I can hear you and the class can also hear you. So you are on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think I'm excited to start. We can give the rest some 3 minutes so that we can continue.
Kuna watu wanafaa kuwekwa mute. Lucy, you could be sharing your screen.
Good evening.
I think now we can start at Lucy and ensure your presentation is on like presentation mode so that we have students who have visual impairment and others. So to make it good, that's perfect. So yes, so Lucy, I welcome you to our class. We have 104 participants today, and it's such an honor to have you take us through the work ethics and the whole introduction to the world of work. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been having sessions on self-awareness and emotional intelligence and all that. And we are hoping that this new module will introduce us now to what we've really been looking forward to. So everyone who had those key questions of workplace ethics and questions around that, please, this is the person to nail with the questions. Karibu sana, Lucy, you can take over. We have up to 7:30 p.m. and I would wish that you can take the presentation through. Normally, you can also quickly scan through the questions that they put in the chat box. And then there's always like the last half hour, most it's used to respond to questions and answers. So thank you. Yeah, Karibu.
All right, thank you, Sana Jane. Hello, everyone, once again, for the new people that are joining us. My name is Lucy Nyakeo. I work for Centum as a HR. And as for today, I think I'm going to be introducing you to the world of work. I know that's why we are all going through school. We are all anticipating that we'll be joining the world of work, that maybe whatever you're studying at the moment, you're going to apply it practically and get to earn a living from it. So for today, what I'd like maybe to find out, maybe I'll ask at the end of the question, or if you can tell me briefly, one or two people can tell me what are the expectations for this module. What do you intend to maybe learn at the end of this session, so that maybe from there on we can all go through. Anyone that wants to go first?
Are you guys taking advantage of a new trainer and you don't want to answer her questions? I call you by names. Kemutai Nancy. Oh, their hands. Oh, their hands actually raised somewhere. So,
okay. Tiffany, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, so we all anticipate entering the world of work, but for the most part, we never know what it really means in terms of what is expected of us out of the maybe tactical responsibilities of the job. So I expect to learn all the aspects there are about the world of work, not just what I have studied for, but how to engage with others, how to be professional, how to deal with disagreements and conflicts in terms of work, and how maybe to be presentable and polite when engaging with seniors and counterparts in the world of work from this lesson. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. Maureen?
I expect to learn how to relate with people at the workplace, how to be friendly, yet professional, how to handle people because everyone has a different personality. So how to incorporate the different personalities and be comfortable with everyone at the workplace. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Maureen. One last person. One last person. Okay, then that's okay. If those are the only people that are willing or that are representing the rest of you. And I'm happy that your expectations align to what I'm going to be taking you through this module, because at the end of this, we expect that at the end of this, despite getting a job, you've gotten your job. How are you going to keep your job? How are you going to excel at your job? How are you going to ensure that you grow in your career? And to get you through this, maybe I'll give you a brief history of how I started off. Then maybe from there on, you can be able to relate and understand how I got there. I joined my current workplace at a very junior position. I joined in as a customer service executive. And this was really not something I had studied for. Just as you are anticipating to go into the world of work, you're ready to take up anything that would provide you the experience of the workplace. So I started off as a customer service executive. In my few months as a customer service executive, I grew into a team leader. A few months into it, I joined the HR department. I've been in the HR department for the last 2 years or more. And this is just showing you how you can be able to progressively grow into your career despite where you start, because starting is the most important thing. When you start, how do I grow? How do I move forward? How do I, if I want to be, let's say you want to be the chief architect of whatever you're going to be working at, how do I grow into that position? Or how do I go into that particular job? So I'll go to my next slide. I hope you guys can see what I'm presenting. Allow me to change from a PPT presentation to a PDF.
That's okay.
Okay. So I hope this is clear for everyone.
Yes, very clear.
Yes. So as I'm saying, we expect that you'll be able to I'll be able to take you through how are you going to get your job, keep your job, and excel at the job that you've gotten. Apart from that, we also want to understand, as Tiffany and Maureen had said, how do I relate with people at my workplace? Someone says something rude. Maybe I'm the new person at work. I've been given an assignment I'm not able to handle. I've never done that before. How do I say politely that I don't know how to go about this, or it is not my area of expertise? That is what I want us to understand. Maybe you have a disagreement at work. How do you handle that disagreement and ensure that maybe it doesn't inconvenience your future work relationships? maybe you can see from your screen, we have a quote that is listed over there, that 70% of human resource officials cited deficiency among graduates in applied skills such as professionalism, work ethics, punctuality, working productively with others, and time and workload management. And I can assure you and attest to this, being that I am experiencing this firsthand, that the expectations of people or the graduates that we are having today, we lack the balance. We are lacking the balance between you're confident in your skills or maybe in your theoretical skills, but you have not learned, you have not taken time to learn the professional and work ethics that go along with your theoretical skills. Because maybe you've not worked before. How am I going to link what I have learned in class with what is required from me on a daily basis? And I think that is something we're going to maybe guide you through. They're not, it doesn't mean you change your personality or who you are so that you can fit into your workplace or into your new work environment, but it means for you to understand, how am I going to react in a certain situation? How am I going to ensure that I'm delivering to the best of my abilities? Is that fine? Okay, I go to the next slide. This is just to give you a highlight of the world of work, the situation we are in right now. I know some of you have friends that graduated years, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I've met people that graduated 4 years ago. People I graduated with still looking for work. It only tells you how much the world of work is, the work environment is, what do I say? It is, there are a lot of graduates that are waiting to join the world of work. It means you need to be unique. You need to present something different, something that represents you as a person, but is able to also work well with the organization that you're looking to join. So I can say Kenya is currently faced with an opportunity and challenge of a so-called youth bulge. This is what I'm talking about. There are a lot of people out there that are looking to be hired. Some have graduated years ago. Some of you are looking to graduate, and others are still learning and looking towards graduating and getting job opportunities. Allow me to go to the next slide. So this is just, I want you to understand, I give you an example. On a daily basis, where I currently work, I see more than on an average of, if I get at least a minimum of 15 people coming to see me. These are people that are looking for jobs. These are people that have maybe lost jobs. This is where the element of keeping your job comes in. These are people that maybe are already working with us, but are looking to grow in their current positions. So on an average, imagine me receiving 15 CVs in a day. I currently do not have any job opportunities, but imagine receiving 15 job applications with no job to give. But what am I going to be looking at? It will take me, I will take the shortest time to go through your CV. And if your CV is interesting enough, then I can put it aside and decide and say that, oh, this person, I can think of this kind of position. This person would fit for this kind of role. I want to take you through that situation to get you to that point where when you present your CV to someone, they'll be like, this is interesting. Let me take a bit of more time looking through this, instead of just saying, apana, this one, apana, hii acha niweke hapa kando hapa. By the first thing ameandika curriculum vitae vibaya. huyo wacha tumweke kando hadi ajue kuandika jina CV vizuri. You see, those are the situations that we have. And as I mentioned, 50% of your resumes, you will start sending out your resumes to maybe even for your attachments, your resumes for internships. But what will assure you that the person you've sent to your CV looks at it? Nini itafanya angalia hiyo CV? Ni vile umeandika, spelling mistakes ziko ama haziko? Umeandika CV yako iko na page 13 ama iko na page 2? You see, what is an averagely good CV like? Like how big or how small should my CV be like? Because you see, the first process or what determines your success is, one, if I look at your CV and I like it, that is stage number 1. Then it means I have a shot at getting an interview, right? And if I get to interview you and you present yourself okay, then it means you have an opportunity to get a job. But if I interview you and you do not present yourself well, you don't look like you may have a good CV, unaweza kuwa umeandika CV vizuri sana, lakini kifika tena pale kwa interview, wewe na CV yako hamuendani. Yani, you and your CV are completely two different people. Your panelist is left to wonder, your interviewer is left to wonder, is this the same person that did this CV? Those are the kind of things that I want to prepare you for. It's easier said than done, because I know at the end of the day, you'll be like, hizi vitu zote umesoma kwa class. But I want this class to be more of an interactive session. I want maybe even one of you can share your CVs. We walk through it. We see where are we going to, what do we do? How do we help maybe Tiffany get her CV in shape? How do we get her CV, getting her that job that she's looking towards getting? And even as maybe Maureen, or I can see Sandra akiingia kwa your interview, to make sure that Sandra is able to get that job, that she's able to stand out from the tons of people that have also been called for the interview. Because I can assure you, I've seen people that are in universities, but when it comes to presentation, when it comes to communication, then they need some improvement. There are areas that they need to work on. All right, I'll go to my next slide. These are some of the things that we are going to be looking at in this module. Like, we'll look at how do you search for your jobs, online jobs. That is, at the end of the day, which is the right site for you to be looking at, which are the sites that offer genuine jobs, because we have a lot of areas that every site siku hizi kuna watu wanakon, kuna wengine wako genuine, wengine hawako genuine. How do you differentiate between the two of them? Because sometimes desperation can lead to a situation where you get yourself applying to the wrong jobs, or you're applying in jobs that are not fruitful. Sometimes you're applying, you're conned. Such situations. That's what I want us to understand and learn. As I mentioned, we'll look at how you create your resume and your cover letter that will attract potential employers. We'll also look at how you prepare for an interview and how you make your interview successful. How to ingia kwa your interview, as I said, what will make me different from, what will make the interviewer differentiate between me, Lucy, and Abel. Yeah. Then we'll also learn about customer service and its importance, because once you've gotten your job, you will be required to be serving someone else. And the person that you're serving or you're taking care of is your customer. If you're in the finance department, your colleagues that you're dealing with will be your customers. Your clients that you need to pay are your customers. If the clients that you need to pay you are your customers, how will you be handling those kind of customers? Both your internal customers and your external customers. And how is this customer service important? Because at the end of the day, we are all looking towards building networks, building relationships that will be fruitful in future. Is that okay? Okay. We'll also look at work etiquette. How do you behave at work? How do you carry yourself at work? How do you interact, as Tiffany and Marina asked? How do you relate with your colleagues at work? How do you deal with conflicts at work? How do you ensure that you're presentable, that you stand out from the rest? Because yes, you've gotten your job, maybe you're both interns or you're graduate trainees. How do I make sure that at the end of the day, my work etiquette makes the person that I'm reporting to recognize my efforts than the other person who I'm also on the same position in? We'll also learn about time management and identify organization skills that may be applied to work and life. Because at the end of the day, we have work life, and you have your work life and your personal life. How do we ensure that we have a balance of both? We do not want to have a situation where maybe we spend a lot of time at work and forget to have that social life. How am I going to balance between the two? Maybe you don't also have a situation where kuna personal life yako may take up so much of your time that you're not able to balance your work. Okay. We also look at coping with stress and anxiety at work. We want to identify stress and strategies for coping with this kind of stress. Is it work related? Is it personal related? How do I make sure that my personal life does not affect my, how do I make sure my personal life does not affect my work? Because just because you're working, haimaanishi maisha yako nyumbani inaacha kuendelea. Hapana, that is not the case. Maisha yako inaendelea, na kuna saa zingine you may have stressful situations ambazo zinaweza interfere na kazi yako. Utafanya aje ndio upate bridge between your personal and work life. Yeah. Also, we learn about problem solving and conflict resolution. We learn a process for problem solving to increase the ability to make effective decisions. Because if you have a conflict or a problem with your colleague, this is the person you're working na yeye kila siku. This is the person you're supposed to liaise with when it comes to maybe decision making, when it comes to reporting. This is the person you're interacting with on a daily basis. How do I ensure maybe that the conflicts that may come up, for example, umeenda ukasema you need this and this, it's not been approved, or your approval has sparked some conflict within your department. How do you ensure that this does not affect the future engagements with your colleague? That at the end of the day, I am able to that your manager is able to make a decision objectively about any proposals that you've made. Maybe how did you present your proposal? Was the conflict well resolved? Did your conflict maybe after umekatazwa ama mmebishana about a specific project, were there some feelings involved, personal feelings? Were you professional enough, or did you use insulting language? Were you disrespectful? Such kind of situations. Basically, we'll ensure that at the end of this, you'll have improved your interpersonal skills, and maybe you'll have learned on how to work on them. Maybe if you have a problem with anger, utaweza kujua hivi nitakuwa na manage anger yangu hivi na hivi when I'm confronted with such situations. We'll also learn about the interview success and follow-up. Maybe, after you've had your interview, how am I going to follow up? Maybe you've done your first stage of interviews, you're anticipating for the second one, or you've not received any feedback. What is a polite way to follow up on those interviews? Because again, you do not want to have a situation where you're calling the person when you alikuita for the interview at 9 p.m. or at 10 p.m. Namuuliza, naitwa Sandra, napiga kuhusu ile interview nilikuwa nimefanya, bado sijapewa feedback. And you may think this is a joke, but this is actually what I experience on a day-to-day basis. How should you follow up for your interviews? How should I follow up? Or maybe you've been given your interview feedback. Yeah? It wasn't positive. Maybe you were told you were not successful, but you want to get more information. Maybe you want to get more information on how you can work better. You don't want a situation where unapigwa simu unauliza, sasa mbona hamkunichukua? Na niliona wengine niliwauliza wananiambia wajaenda high school. You understand? Those kind of situations. For you, it may seem cliche, but when you get to the real world, frustrations lead to this kind of situations. Unapata you're very frustrated. Wewe ulifanya research yako vizuri sana. Na ukajua hapa, I have the best shot at getting this job. Maybe it's an internal job. You're already working in the organization, but the person that gets the job aside from you you find out is less qualified than you are, maybe doesn't have as much experience as you do. How do you get positive, or how do you get feedback from your boss on what you should do better? Maybe how you should improve on your work ethics, or maybe on your presentation skills, because you might be good when it comes to practical things on delivering, but when it comes to how you present yourself at the interview, the panel is left to wonder what went wrong. Also, self-advocacy. This links very well with the interview process, or even after the interview process while you're at work. How to maybe ask for a raise. You worked for an organization for 4 years, 5 years, you've not gotten a raise. How do I ask for that raise? How do I tell my manager I need more challenges, that I want to experience more challenges in my day-to-day jobs? I think maybe that's a brief of what you should be expecting, and I am hoping that itakuwa imecover expectations zenyu zitakuwa zimemitiwa, if not 100%, then 99%. All right? Okay. So how do you become job ready? And what does being job ready mean to employers? Yeah. Anyone would like to take a shot? Anyone who'd like to tell us what they think being job ready means?
I think being job ready means you know to know what you need to do and how to live within the work environment.
Okay, that's okay. That's a good trial. Anyone else? Tobias, you can go ahead.
I think it's
Okay, let me try. Hello.
hello.
Let me hear from Tobias first, and then you can go ahead.
I believe that being job ready means that you really understand what the job environment is, and at the same time, you really know what you want, and you are up to the task that in case of any challenges in the job, you'll be able to cope up with them.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's a good one. You can go ahead, Josie.
I think he has said most of the things I wanted to say, but I can just add being job ready. For example, you know your career, you know what you studied for, and you know what you want in your life with that career. So you look for the company that will work in the path of your career, and you read more about the company that make you to go for that job. I think
that's okay. Yeah, that's good. Maybe the last one from Amos.
Yes, being job ready is being able to adapt to any multicultural setting with ease and comfortability. That's my view. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Just see your hand is still up. Okay. I think that is good. That is very true. Yeah, you're very right. Being job ready means, have you understood what your potential or the employer you're looking towards working with, who they are, what is their culture, what they expect? Do you understand what the role that you're going to take up looks like? What is required of that job role? For example, if I'm looking at joining as a customer service representative, how will my employer know that I am job ready? One, my employer will know that I'm job ready because one, I understand the role. I understand what a customer service representative is required to do. I understand what the traits that they are required to have. I understand, do I have those skills? Maybe apart from the communication skills, apart from the report writing skills, to also have those other skills that that particular job is looking for. And as well as being job ready, it also means your employer is able to identify certain characteristics. And these are the characteristics that have been listed for you of a good employee. Because one, if I interact with you from the onset and I realize you're a very negative person, maybe how you're communicating or how you're presenting yourself is, I'm feeling some sense of negativity. You're asking the whys instead of giving us the solutions. It's okay to ask why, but when you give me a question, I want you to give me a solution for it. That is how you sense positivity. Am I reliable and accountable? How will I gauge whether you're reliable and accountable from your interview? I will ask you how you will handle. Maybe, for example, I'll ask a question, your colleague doesn't show up to work, they haven't given you a reason for it. How that kind of situation? Then that lets me know whether you're reliable and accountable of yourself and your colleagues. Entrepreneur, are you able to generate new ideas, or you are the person that is bent on just doing what is laid down for you? Good, you do what is laid down for you, but are you able to generate new ideas of how to do things, make things easier for people? Are you motivated? Are you excited about your job? This is where you will find an interviewer asking you, what is your motivation? when they ask such kind of a question, they want to understand whether you understand what you're going into, whether you appreciate what you're going to, and whether you're excited about what you're applying for. Are you a team player? As I mentioned earlier, am I able to count on you to be able to deliver a specific project and have it done? Are you organized? Are you skilled? Organized in terms of how you do your things. Are you a step person, or are you a person that just does anything and everything at the same time without actually showing good results for it? I'll go to the next slide. When you're joining into the world of work, part of being job ready is taking your common sense to work. What do I mean? Don't have situations where you, for example, you're the new person at your workplace. People have a certain expectations that maybe everyone already knows that you are new at the workplace. So they will not give you unreasonable, what do I call it? Unreasonable targets or unreasonable, unreasonable targets. So in case you're having situations where you don't understand how to do it, don't find yourself asking questions like, huku mtu anafaa kufanya aje, mtu anafaa there's some questions that sometimes you ask and you're left to wonder, is this person really for real? Yeah. That your contract clearly states that you come in at work at 9 and leave at 5:30. But you're here asking, "Neza toka saa nane?" Are you getting where I'm talking? Where I'm going at with the common sense? Basically, learn how to problem solve. Look for practical answers. Disagree without being disagreeable. Keep your emotions in check. Be polite to people you don't like. That's where you draw the line between your emotions and your work. Keep the big picture in mind. Regulate your personal interests and be ready to lead. Be ready to work when called upon. Then, basically, that is just a brief introduction of what we are going to be looking at, what you should be expecting. So far, maybe if anyone has a question before we go to the first component of the module.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So in your presentation, you say be polite. So I was hoping you would clarify the difference between being polite and asserting your position. I think that would be something helpful for everyone to know.
Yes. When I'm polite, when I talk about being polite, I ask that you ensure you're respectful in how you're communicating, because sometimes what you're communicating may not go well with who you're communicating to. When instead of saying, I do not like this, you can say, I suggest we go about doing this and this. My reasons are this and this. That is polite. Instead of just saying, I won't do this, I can't do this. That would be considered as rude, because if you're going to say you're not going to meet your deadlines, you need to give reasons or give a time schedule, or when you feel would be best, when you'll be able to meet your timelines. If you're told to give your report by 10 and you feel like it's an unreasonable deadline, maybe you just got the instructions at 9. How do I politely communicate to my manager that the deadline is unreasonable? You don't write to your manager and tell them, I think your deadline is unreasonable. I'll have it done by 1 p.m. See? Consider that statement in comparison to, thank you. I'll work on this. However, the best that I can promise to have this done is by maybe at 1 p.m. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it's really just about how you phrase what you're going to say, not what you say, but how you say it.
How you say it is the most important thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Anyone else that has a question so far?
I have a question on the chat.
Okay, let's see.
Okay. Help you, Lucy, with the questions from the chat.
Yes.
Let me pick one from Caroline Muigai. How does one handle a situation where you realize you just because you are a new employee, the other employees or even the employer misuses you? That's one. Maybe I can read you other two so that you can respond to them. This is Enoch Basweti. He was responding to the question on being job ready, of course, saying he's know that your skills and abilities and experiences can be adapted well with the job environment and condition. From Boniface Mwangi, how can one know that CV were well received? Is there a list of those who have already submitted? Oh, sorry, that one I think is on the technical part. There's this from Patrick Kionga. How long should a CV be? Minimum number of pages. I think we can first, and then we can answer the last one, which is when writing your resume and you have no referees, what you should do. I think we can first take those three, and then we can look at the others later.
Okay. Maybe Caroline, I'd like to answer. You have a situation where you realize
Lucy, I think I've responded to quite a number of those questions. Huh? Already the
Okay.
answers are there and the questions have been fully addressed.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I can actually see this there.
Yeah.
All right.
Boniface
Right.
and Boniface already answered. The one on the I've already answered. So I don't think that any we've not answered.
All right. I think that's okay. Maybe Caroline, maybe just to answer you, or you're a new employee and you feel like you're being misused. The good thing is having candid conversations with your employer is important because one, it helps you understand what your role is. It also helps you understand what your job requires you to do. If you have situations where maybe you feel like you're being misused, how do you put this across to your line manager? The best option is for you to approach them calmly and express yourself. Yeah, put across, maybe when you understand your job description and job requirements, then you're able to tell your employees that I think I'm not able to do this for you at this moment. I'm handling something else at the moment. Then at your own time, you can speak to your line manager and let them know that I'm having a lot of work on my table that I'm not able to handle all that are aside from what you had expressed is my job description. I hope that makes sense to you, Caroline. But as we continue, I think these are part of the interpersonal skills that I'm talking about. We are going to be learning, and we shall be able to explain this in this detail. Yeah. All right. Any other question?
Brian has asked a very good question around how to ask for reasonable accommodation, especially for those who are living with disabilities, to ensure that they do not really receive negative reaction courtesy of their questions. And I find it so good because it's really building the basis of negotiating for your accommodation and negotiating for reasonable support within your work environment without arousing unnecessary animosity. It's a good question, and I think it's a big challenge to many people. What you need to do is to ensure that your timing is right. You don't wake up in the morning before you do anything, and the first thing you ask is reasonable accommodation. What you do is you begin the day in a very humble way. You submit your assignments that are pending. Then you start a conversation at the right time. And then you can say, by the way, I love to do my job, but then I have some limitation, which I really appreciate if you can look into them, so that you also seek to provide alternatives, how you can cover up or how you could still deliver in a convenient way without compromising on the quality, but still have your accommodation. So it's actually about your negotiation skills and looking for space where it is required to ensure that you are reasonably accommodated and, of course, maintain the good relationship and the motivation you need. I hope, Brian, you are well answered.
I think, Brian, I hope that answers you. As I mentioned earlier, always remember to bring solutions to your problems. Important to bring, if you have a challenge that is affecting you, you can show your employer that you have thought through this entire thing, and these are the options that you have, that maybe whichever best suits them will be able to help you or improve your work environment. Maybe Brian is also asking, how does one deal with negative treatment on account of something beyond your control, e.g. disability? I think this is something that most employers are really working towards appreciating and embodying into their work culture. That is diversity and inclusion. So for opportunities where you feel like you're not included, or the organization is not being inclusive, then you have an opportunity to reach out to your line manager or your HR department and have them address these things. That is what I would advise. Okay. Is there any other question? Maybe you can help me read through it that I've not been able to answer. I think, Joel, I've answered your question on mistreatment. This is on, I think this is in line with grievance handling procedures of the company. Every company has a grievance handling process. And this means if you feel like you're not being accommodated, whether you're being mistreated, whether you're being abused, every company has a process of how they handle this kind of situations. And once you understand who the person that you're supposed to report to, or you're supposed to address your issue with, then you're able to communicate or address your problems with them, and they are able to find a solution for you. If you have a good relationship with your line manager, then those are the best people to work with. But if your line manager is the one inflicting your mistreatment or the one that is inconveniencing you, then you can be able to address it confidentially with your line manager, with your HR department. Maybe anyone else? Any question? Maybe George, you can help me read through and see whether there is any other question that I've not been able to answer. I can see most of these questions are more on CV writing, or most of these questions that come in when it comes to your resume, the size of your CV. These are things that we are going to be taking. I'm going to be taking you through in our component number What number was it again? Those who are paying attention. Component number 2. We'll be able to look at all these things. We'll be able to see how long your CV should be. We'll be able to see how you should write your references. As someone has asked, if you've forgotten your referee, how do you compensate for that?
Lucy, I think I saw a question from is it Susie, who was asking about a topic that is ahead of us, and I've advised her that it's coming our way, so we'll be tackling that in the next class. Yes.
Okay. Then I can see Whitney is asking, why don't employers say why you haven't been selected so that one can improve on the problem? Honestly, reasons why sometimes an employer might have interviewed a number of people, and not everyone might be willing, or not everyone is interested in the feedback, you know. This is why I talked about follow-up. We're going to be talking about follow-up, interview success and follow-up. This is where we are going to be discussing this, because some people are what do we say? They have gone through the interview, but for them it might have just been ticking a box. But there are some people that genuinely want the feedback, and this is where you take initiative as an individual person. How do I get feedback on on what I can improve on as a person? I hope that answers you, Whitney. Yeah? Interview feedback is a personal.
I can also add that sometimes employees want.
Sorry? Okay, I can see Mercy is also asking how they can negotiate for salary. Mercy, we will get you there. I will get you there on how to negotiate for your salary. Now, let us first get you a job. Let us first get you to know how you're going to write your CV, how you're going to present yourself in an interview. And after you're good at that, then we can be able to negotiate for your salary. It is all part of this package. All right. Then if there are no more questions, or is there anything you'd like to comment on, George? Yes.
I think you need to guide the colleagues that some of them are asking questions that are ahead of schedule, so that they are guided to know that we are coming to cope with stress, we are coming to problem solving, conflict resolution. Those are sessions that we are going to have next time. So rather than preempting what you're going to discuss, can we rather have the questions focusing on what we have covered today about job readiness and of course the key concerns around work readiness, so that the specifics about time management, coping with stress and others can actually come later.
Yes. All right. If we have no more questions that relates to what we have discussed today, then I will allow me to go to the next topic component, that is job search. The reason I'm starting with job search is because before we first understand how we are going to be writing our CVs or presenting our CVs, we need to understand how we are going to be looking for these jobs. So the goal of this component is that we learn the strategies for finding a job that is a good match for your skills, abilities, and your financial needs. We have a lot of platforms that, as I mentioned, that are able that have available job opportunities, but are they all of them genuine, or they are bots, or they are lie? Are they there to call you guys or to take your money from you? So for me, I've listed a few. As I mentioned, how do I become job ready, or how do I first start searching for my job? One, you have to have the desire for the work. If I'm looking towards getting a job in customer service, am I interested? Do I love the job that I'm doing? Have I learned the necessary skills? Allow me to just use customer service because I feel like it's considered an easy job in every. When people look at customer service, most people are looking at that lady that sits at the reception desk or that lady that answers calls, but it has more to that. Do you have the necessary skills? For example, as a customer service executive, do you have the necessary communication skills? Are you able to use the necessary equipment that is used for customer service? They use phones, they use laptops, they use applications that are customer friendly, those kind of things. And we have various levels of customer service executives. We have telephone executives, we have email people that are on the back end responding to your emails. Do you understand the necessary skills for that specific job that you are looking for? Have you developed and practiced your skills? How do you practice your skills without a job? You may want to ask. You practice your skills by, for example, you can do something at home. You can practice with your sister or your fellow classmates and practice these kind of things. You can pretend to be calling, pretend to be answering an email. How am I going to answer that email? How am I going to answer that client? If she's rude, how am I going to respond to her? Then that way, once you understand your skills and you practice those skills, presenting yourself becomes very easy. Have you set your career progression goals? Again, I'm a customer service executive. Do I want to be a customer service executive for the rest of my career? No. If I do not want to be a customer executive for the rest of my life or my career, what is my plan like? How do I grow to that? If I want to be the head of customer service, or if I want to be a consultant in customer service or train in customer service, how do I get myself there? One, you want to grow to gain your experience. You want to grow into a certain position. You become an executive, you become an associate, you become a head of department. Then eventually you become the trainer, the consultant. That kind of plan, that is a career progression goal. Then you have time limits for your goal. Then you're able to know that, am I working within my timelines? For me, for example, when I started off, as I mentioned, I started as a customer service executive. And that is why I like to use this example so much. Because in customer service, you are able to learn a lot of interpersonal skills that, even though this is not in line with what you want to grow into, you are able to visualize. You can be able to see that if I'm attaching myself, I'm a customer service executive right now, but I want to become a business development officer or executive. How do I get myself there? One, I'll learn the interpersonal skills that are required for me now as a customer service skills executive. Two, I'll get someone from the business development department to attach myself to. That way, I'll be able to get some few small tasks that I can be able to learn and understand what a business development person needs to do. With time, you will find yourself placing yourself in a situation where if this business development person is not available, they can be able to confidently recommend to have Abel or Brian take up or hold my place in absentia. All right. And the last thing you can do to become job ready is visualize the goals, visualize what you want at the end of the day. And I've said all this is by you planning or setting your career progression goal. As we are searching for a job, how do you search? How do you search for that job that you want? One, you consider your interests. You identify activities you like to do and the challenges they offer. For example, let me move away from customer service and get something else. We would say finance, accounts, because I know a few of you are in the accounts department. If you identify that you're looking towards becoming an accounts person, what activities, how do you know that you want to be in the finance department? Maybe you're interested in mathematics, you are in accounting stuff, and you're already pursuing a career in that light. So it already shows that you have your interest in you've considered your interest at that point of view. And is this position also in line? Does it also work in line with your personal life? Some jobs can be very restricting in terms of your personal life. Will it affect your personal life? If not, then you go for it. Assess your skills. That is, evaluate school, volunteer work, or leisure experiences. If you're looking towards getting a job as a finance person, you have a local church that your local church, you can volunteer, you can decide to be the one to be accounting for sadaka. Kanisa ikiisha unaweza saidia watu wa finance ya kanisa ku account for the sadaka yenye imetolewa. In that process, you get to learn the necessary skills for your job. In that process, you get to put theory into practice. For example, if you're looking towards becoming a social worker, you volunteer with an NGO, maybe with any opportunity that gives you or sets you in that path of getting that job that is in an NGO. Research occupations, develop a list of possible careers based on your particular combination of skills and interests. You're good at finance, but you're also good at, you have also good interpersonal skills. With that, you can become an admin for a certain company. You can start off as an admin. As an administrator, you get an opportunity to experience, to practice your interpersonal skills, and also have a few accounting opportunities. Then you'll be able to work in your career. So devote time to your job search. Expect to spend several hours a day looking for a job. And this is especially true since you may make a number of applications in a day, and you may not get an interview invite even for any of them. When you devote your time to your job search, it helps you be objective in the kind of jobs you're applying to, because you have situations where you have just randomly sent job applications, such that unaitwa for an interview, hukumbuki uliita gani, because ulikuwa unaenda kwa gari ama ulikuwa umeketi mahali ukatuma applications, tumeona wamesema utume application. And keeping yourself accountable during your devoted time for job search is that you have a list of applications that you have made. That way you are able to see, if I've made this kind of applications, I've made 2 applications in this and this, did I get any feedback for that? No. Then you may want to check back and see, maybe did I look at the requirements correctly? Did I meet the minimum requirements, and what would be the reason as to why I didn't get this interview invite? You be patient finding a job. As I mentioned, as we started, the youth bulge in terms of the employment industry or the work industry is quite is quite high. We have a lot of people looking for jobs. Be patient. Learn to just wait and see and expect results, maybe in months, weeks. But patience helps you relieve yourself of frustrations za kutopata interview ama za kutopata kazi, right? Involve your friends and family. As we said, your friends and family will help you. Sometimes you may una apply lakini haupati, lakini wao wanaweza jua this is maybe what we would call connections. No, it's not connections per se. Your friends and family help you be objective. They also help you to get opportunities that you are not aware of. They are in situations, your friends and family are already in workplaces, may help you identify opportunities that are in those organizations that you're not aware of. And they also give you a source of encouragement. They'll give you their life stories of how long it took for them to get jobs and what they did to get their jobs. Conduct field interviews, meet with people in the field you are interested in pursuing. This is especially when it comes to this. A lot of NGOs are really up to ensuring that the youth connect, they understand the job world, and they have put up a lot of, let's say, webinars these days, because there are no meetups per se, but if you get an opportunity to participate in this kind of forums, then it gives you a good opportunity to meet people that are also in the same field that you're looking towards joining. Organize your job search and resources. This is what I mentioned. Record the places you've applied to, people you've talked with, and the responses you've received. This way it keeps you accountable. It also helps you to work on areas that maybe the interviewers or people have found a weakness in you. Maybe even a mock interview with your aunt or with your colleague will help you identify or build that confidence. And one thing you also need to remember, that rejection is part of the process. We cannot all get that job that we've all applied for. So maintain a positive and optimistic attitude, and your efforts will pay off as you get closer to landing your ideal job. It took me, wow, it took me several CVs, several no, to getting to where I am today. And I believe this is a story that everyone is able to relate to, apart maybe from the few lucky ones, but this is something we can all relate to. And the good thing about I like to tell people is that when someone tells you no, it's at least that you actually got some feedback than actually not getting anything at all. When someone tells you no, it's because maybe there is something you still need to work on, and it gives you that opportunity to work on that area. I hope you're all understanding what I'm trying to communicate here. So I've listed a few job resources you can consider when it comes to looking for a job. We have Brighter Monday, Career Point, GG Jobs, JobWeb Kenya, Kenya Career, Pigiami Jobs, Best Jobs Kenya, LinkedIn Kenya. And these are just to mention but a few. We have quite a number of job search engines that you can be able to look at. But what I want us to maybe focus on is identifying, how do I realize that whether this job is genuine or not? For a job to be genuine, for example, if a job is posted on Brighter Monday or LinkedIn, the highest possibility is that if it's on Brighter Monday, if that organization if they have a website, the same job will be on their website. All right. And if it's not on their website, and if you have a suspicion that this job is not genuine, then you always have an option of calling their customer care desk to find out whether it's a genuine job or not. That gives you a relief and relieves you from applying for jobs that are not genuine or jobs that end up being conned. I would not lie to you that I have not been conned. While I was in campus, I was conned, and that was not a good experience for me, since being a student. I was expecting that we all have that expectation that these jobs are genuine, these people cannot be lying to me. And to make matters worse, that I had gone through the organization's website and the job was also advertised on the organizational website. But I did not understand why, it did not click to me that I am not supposed to pay for any job to get into any job. I felt this is genuine. I was told, after all, I was told this is to help me. Tunafanya background checks kwako ndio tujue kama unaweza fit for this role. But thinking about being now that I'm in this profession, thinking about it now, I realized there are a lot of things that I should have considered. For example, I've gone through the website, I have confirmed that this is genuine, this is okay. I have applied through the right channels, but I'm told to pay for this job so that I can have a background check done on me. One, you need to ask yourself, how am I getting a background check done? I've not even sat in an interview. I've not met any of these people in this organization. And if I'm being asked to pay for this job, is this what they usually do? Is this their norm? Is there anyone else that can be able to confirm that this is what this organization does? Because I believe you me or not, if I would have asked my mom or my aunt to confirm whether I'm supposed to pay for this thing, they would have outrightly told me, "Apana, haufai kulipia kazi yote," which should be the case. And again, if you feel that everyone around you tells you that you unalipianga, then call the organization, find out. Just do a call to the customer service and find out whether you're supposed to pay or not. That's why they have these customer service representatives or the receptions to answer such kind of questions. Before I go to the next component, maybe I'd like for some questions.
Lucy, there's a question I want you to start with.
Yes.
Lucy Wamboi, your namesake is asking, what are some of the background checks that are done? So could you please highlight to them what are some of the background checks that are done by employers?
Background checks are mostly done after you're a successful candidate, mostly because it's a process that requires financial input, or it involves the employer going through your good conduct. You've presented your good conduct. Is it a genuine? Are you genuinely not listed on by the police or your referees that you have provided? Are they true referees, or what can they tell us about you? If it's your previous employer, for example, you might not have listed your previous employer as a referee, but you have stated that I have worked with Mbani Association, but you have not listed Mbani Association as your referees. Your employer would want to find out, while Martin was working at Nyumbani, what was his work etiquette like? Why did he leave the organization? What would the manager say about Martin? Those are the kind of references that are done. If you're listed on this, maybe some employers will go to an extent of checking your listing on the CRB. This is maybe because For example, maybe are you working in a financial organization, or are you looking to borrow financial help from the organization? Then they would want to find out how is your credit report like. I hope that answers you.
Yes, Luz, that is a good one, but I want to add something else, which will make them sit from where we sit. My advice is reference checks are now a requirement under the human resource requirements, that you employ people that you understand and you minimize staff turnover. Otherwise, if you are going to hire everybody, including anybody, then you will be getting the wrong people on board. The second thing is we really need to look at how we behave with free money. We are going to be that individual who has borrowed from every financial institution.
Sorry.
You can proceed, George.
George. Sorry, George, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to ask them that they need to look at their spending habits and their borrowing habits. If they're going to be the individuals who borrow from Tala, KCB, M-Pesa, everywhere, they don't pay back, how will people trust you with their money? And you want to be the finance manager. How is that possible? Because you've already demonstrated you have.
Okay.
Biegon, kindly be on mute. I'm putting you on mute and you are muting yourself.
Me? Oh,
no,
sorry.
no, not you.
I don't know where I left.
You're talking about
I hope I was audible.
From the meeting, Joseph, if it is too much. But we have 9 minutes. Lucy, is anyone speaking?
George.
Yeah, I was hoping they got my point.
Yes, I think we did get your point. I think the point here that everyone needs to understand that your actions now have a lot of consequences when it comes to your future employment, because aside from the CRB reports, from your good conduct, from your previous work employment reference checks, some employers go to the extent of looking at what have you been posting on your social media. And sometimes we think we have alias accounts that no one is able to find out. But again, as we go alias, technology also has evolved and people can be able to trace back what you've posted online relates or comes back to you. So I think it's important that all those, that we all understand that all those form part of your reference checks. Yeah. Okay, I can see there is one person here that is asking when it comes to approaching your, how do you, oh, okay, I see, how do you prepare yourself to question each company asks? How do you prepare yourself for the questions each company asks? I think, Bashir, we shall discuss this when it comes to handling of interviews. What about if you were working in a toxic environment and left the job? Does background check? Francis, if you're working in a toxic
Lucy,
environment.
there's a good question that you need to respond to.
Yes, yes.
As an expert, Feras Bashir is asking, as an intern or as a volunteer at Achi, how can you deal with sexual harassment in the workplace since the Kenyan law doesn't protect you and since you are not employed yet? How will you respond to such a question?
One, first, Bashir, I want you to understand that as an intern or as an touchy, it automatically makes you an employee of that company. Reason being, as an intern, whether you're being paid or not, you are part of that organization. And if you have a contract, whether it's written or not, whether you've agreed that you're going to be an intern for this period of time, it's called a verbal contract that you have between you and your employer. So it means that, one, the company itself, the law requires that every organization has a sexual harassment, what do we call it? Policy. There are policies that guide on this, that protect you as an individual, you as a lady, as a gentleman, as an employee, as an intern, on these kind of issues. So in case you experience, you experience sexual harassment, what are the policies for that company? What are the laid down procedures for this company? If the company itself does not have a procedure and this sexual harassment, then you approach your line manager, your HR, to be able to give you an insight on how you can deal with them. Mostly your HR will be able to deal with these situations, even if they have not yet laid down proper procedures or they've not communicated how you're supposed to deal with these kind of situations. But once you've put it across to them, then they're able to pick it up. And the law does protect you. It does protect you from sexual harassment. Yeah. Maybe George, do you want to add anything on the same?
Yes, I think you have quite well responded to the question. And I also wanted to let them know that they're protected under the Employment Act. The
Yes.
Employment Act under the Kenya Human Resource Management and the labor laws protects all volunteers and casual laborers against any such harassment, and they can actually take legal action in a court of law, and they can be listened to. In fact, if you work as an intern for 3 months, after 3 months, you automatically become an employer. Whether they call you a casual, you will be an employer. So these are some of the things you need to understand. But it is too early in the day. As we go to the tail end of the course, we'll be discussing these things about the labor laws regulating employment and all such. So, but essentially, that is how you should respond. You shouldn't keep quiet. Make sure that you have somebody you can trust and you can pass on the point, and make sure that you don't let it to continue, or you don't allow the vice to continue. But of course, do it in a manner that you do not create enemies out of it. Where this is where your self-awareness is required, and of course, self-regulation to know where the limits are. If you find it's getting beyond the limits, please don't keep quiet.
Okay, I think maybe I see one last question still on the background checks from Francis. He is asking, if you are working in a toxic environment and you left the job, does the background check backfire on you? This comes back to how you leave your job. Even if it's finding greener pastures and you're leaving your job to pick up another job, how you leave your current employer really determines the kind of feedback that they're going to give for you to your next employer. So ensure that even if it's a toxic environment, follow the guidelines. If your contract says that you need to give a 2 weeks notice or pay in lieu of notice, then do that. Follow procedure. Let your employer know that I am leaving my work, but don't just wake up one morning and leave, or don't just have a heated conversation with your boss and the next day decide that you're not going to be coming back to work. Then, of course, your employer will not have a good review for you with your next employer. It really comes back to, how did you handle your situation? How did you handle your toxic environment? How did you relate with the rest of the people, or how was your exit looking like?
Francis, I think it is advisable not to burn your bridges, regardless of how toxic it is. Please hang in there. You may need that bridge at some point. Maybe a good reference will make the difference. So in as much as you are pushed to the wall, this is where you are called to have self-regulation and self-awareness at the highest level, to ensure that despite this challenge, you actually can stand beyond that, and you can take it as an advantage and still live in a good way.
I think I'll take one last question from Tobias, who is asking, how can you, a graduate who is interested in other fields other than their degree they have studied in, how can they apply for a job they love working in? And when we were talking about job search, let me just go to that slide so that we can look at it. There is something that we talked about as consider your interests and assess your skills. If your interest is in that which you're stating to what you love, then you should be able to ensure that you've gained the necessary skills. You've taken opportunity or time to develop skills in what you love doing. We have a lot of online platforms that are teaching you guys that are actually free, that you can be able to learn online courses relating to what you're interested in. That way you can be able to develop those skills, and then it makes it easier for you to apply for those jobs that you love doing. I hope that answers you, Tobias. I think I'll stop at that.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for the wonderful session. I hope all of us have gained something, and we look forward to having you next week for the continuation of the session.
Yes.
Yes, I have seen questions about those that submitted their resumes. We said we will communicate, so just be patient. Your class is on Tuesday. There's another class that happens on Thursday, and their deadline for submission was today. So we will know who has not submitted at least by the next class. Joseph, was there any other question for me in the chat that maybe I should have answered? I don't think so. Unless there's a burning question, we can call it a class. Byron, teach us how to say good night in sign language. Good night. You're teaching us.
And for good, then night. Tap on the back of your palm. Good night.
So everyone say good night in sign language. Good night. We didn't see the videos, but I hope
I can see you guys.
Good.
Good
You can
night.
see, guys.
Yeah, I can't see anyone, so I wouldn't know.
So anyone willing to do their video, we do the signing for good night as we go to sleep. No one wants their video on.
Esther wants to join in.
Yes, I see we have several people now. So who is doing the photo for everyone? So good night, Byron. Show us.
Good
Oh,
night.
so I think
Again.
Is it?
Good. Then night. Okay. Tap. Good. Then night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Okay, just to
Right.
finish, sorry for interruption.
Yes, there's an interruption. Who is speaking? Who is speaking? Who is speaking? Looks like no one is speaking.
It's Josephine talking.
Hi, Josephine, yes.
I just wanted to just add something small on what the speaker was talking about. I know we are done with what the topic of today, but I just wanted to add something. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it, keep looking and don't settle. So, yani hata kuna msemo yenye nasemanga, yani mtafutaye hachoki na kichoka kishapata. So
from what people were saying about the environment, the what, don't settle on one thing. Just work hard and just know your dream will come true in the work and career you're working for. Just to
Thank you
finish.
so much, Josephine, for the insights. Keep looking, don't settle. All right, bye-bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Good night.